Hey everyone, I'm Megyn Kelly. Welcome to the Megyn Kelly Show and happy Friday. Coming up, we're going to have a can't miss hour of Kelly's Court. The dramatic end to the trial of Donna Adelson, found guilty on all counts. Her reaction to the verdict caused the judge to have the jury exit the courtroom. It was dramatic, with two of our contributors to MK True Crime, including one who knew the victim in the Adelson case. But first, drama at the U.S. Open. We got drama at the U.S. Open with tears, outbursts, anger, accusations of racism. We got drama in the NFL. There's sports drama. So who better to discuss it than yours truly and Link Lauren? I mean, because when you think sports, you think about the two of us, Link, the host of Spot On with Link Lauren on the MK Media Podcast Network. Don't miss a moment. Subscribe to this show on YouTube and follow me on Insta, Facebook, and X. Let's be honest, America can still be a dangerous place, and you cannot afford to wait for help. Sure, you could use a firearm, but in today's America, defending yourself with deadly force could have legal consequences. According to FBI data, 99.9% of all altercations do not require lethal force. And that's exactly why so many are turning to Byrna. Byrna is proudly American, hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. These less lethal self-defense launchers are trusted by hundreds of government agencies, law enforcement departments, and private security companies, and by me. Over 600,000 Byrna pistols have been sold, most to private citizens who refuse to be victims. Byrna launchers fire rock-hard kinetic rounds and powerful tear gas and pepper projectiles capable of stopping a threat from up to 60 feet away. No background checks, no waiting periods. And Byrna can ship straight to your door. You can get this thing right away. Take responsibility. Protect your future. Visit Byrna.com right now or your local Sportsman's Warehouse. That's BYRNA.com or your local Sportsman's Warehouse. Visit now and be prepared to defend. I was laughing because, I have to admit, I'm interested in these stories, but that's only because the sports stories have crossed over into my lane of news, which makes them fair game for me to discuss. But I look at the two of us who are like, oh yeah, I want to get Link's thoughts on the NFL.
We're like the least qualified people to discuss this, but it's perfect. Everybody strap in, get a drink, get ready.
That's right. If we can discuss it, anyone can understand it. So that's the one bonus. I guess we'll just start with the NFL because that's the most recent thing that happened last night. It was my husband's Eagles against the Dallas Cowboys, and the Eagles won. And here's what got my attention. My pal Greg Kelly was over on Newsmax, and I love Greg. We go way back. He was I think he was actually the very first guy I ever shared an office with at my very first day at Fox News back in August of 2004. So, good God, 21 years ago. Anyway, Greg's got it all. Former Marine. He was like with the troops as we went into Fallujah or into Iraq, and he had the helmet on. Anyway, he's a badass. But he's on Newsmax, and he has had it up to here with woke NFL stuff. And I think he speaks for a lot of us because what I saw at the game was, once again, now we are 5 years post George Floyd-a-Palooza. We had to begin the game with the Black national anthem. We can't just have the national anthem. We have to have the Lift Every Voice and Sing anthem, special anthem just for Black people, which is just so why? And then here was Greg Kelly weighing in on how he's had it up to here with the NFL in general.
I can't stand the NFL. I'm boycotting football basically forever. They helped ruin this country. All right, they came pretty damn close. During an election year, they called for immediate change. I don't need it, and I don't think you do either. There are so many better things we could do with our time. Look, I like football, the sport. I played it as a little kid on the Pee Wee League, But what do we get out of it, really? Watching those guys get exercise, make money, get ahead in their lives, while we just sit there and watch them and bet our own money sometimes on it. I want out. By the way, I don't trust it sometimes. Some of these Super Bowl games seemed almost rigged. And I'll tell you what's really phony, the Kelsey, Travis, Taylor Swift, whatever the hell that thing is. It is fake. It is a strategy for I don't know what. I don't care. I don't know why people would really care, but I think it's a great big corporate project.
And here's what else he was calling attention to: this woke ad that the NFL put out in 2021, and he ran a bunch of Roger Goodell clips of him totally bending the knee after George Floyd, apologizing to the players, forever chastising them for not standing for the national anthem. We were wrong. You know, he was one of those self-flagellating guys, and it's never stopped, because even last night in the opening game of the season, Link, we had they have these social justice messages in the end zone, like end racism. And they had one last night, which was, I think, it takes all of us. They're saving the end racism ones we just learned for all the international games, I guess, to lecture our friends overseas about how they too need to end racism. And it really is kind of amazing we're still dealing with this utter bullshit 5 years after George Floyd.
Well, what's interesting is I feel like the NFL is probably the least racist sport, because you have so many black men making tens of millions of dollars and they're exceptional. So I don't see where there is racism in football. Maybe I'm naive. I know I'm the whitest person on earth. I'm like Casper, so I'm not sure I'm in the best position to opine on this topic. But whenever I watch football, there are a lot of African-American men making millions of dollars supporting their families, and it's a merit-based sport. That's what I love about it. They're not chosen based on skin color. They're chosen, can you run fast? Can you make a touchdown? Can you do this? Things that we cannot do here on screen. But it's merit-based, and that's what I love about it. And the thing about Black Lives Matter, the people still going with Black Lives Matter, so many of the black leaders in America have come out in the past 2 or 3 years and said, you know, I think that was kind of a scam. I think Black Lives Matter was actually a scam. Where did the money go? Did it do anything to help the black community? No. And the last thing I'll say is this: the messages I get on social media from black people are, we are not a monolith. We're not monolithic. Like every 4 years, the Democrats come around and they think that there's one black voter. They're like, no, we can vote for Trump this time. We can vote our best interest. We can do what we want. So I'm not sure why these folks are still going with all the Black Lives Matter and racism stuff. Just let people watch football and have a good time.
I know. What do they think they're doing? The country has had enough of this. It's such a pander. And I guess Roger Goodell thinks that like he's got to, I don't know, pander to his largely black teams. And so like, are they clamoring for this? Do they want to see this stupid, it takes all of us meaningless message in the end zones? I'm pretty sure those guys just want to earn money and play football. And that with the, passage of time, almost everyone has seen how stupid that whole thing was. We're paving over all the BLM messages on the roads. Like, people are past it. We're over it. We're over the gender nonsense, the pronoun nonsense. Even AOC took her pronouns out of her Twitter bio. So did Pete Buttigieg. And we're over the stupid end racism, black national anthem nonsense in the NFL. It's like you're hanging by a thread. Why make it tougher on yourselves to get that last and very important segment of your audience back in your corner, which is middle America?
Exactly. And I feel like identity politics is so passé, but for these folks on the left and in the mainstream media, they're still on that bandwagon of 5-10 years ago. We're not doing identity politics anymore, okay? We want a merit-based society. We want a merit-based administration, merit-based country, merit-based sports teams. That's what we want, all of this identity. And of course, the same thing happens to me. People say, because of how you are, you should think a certain way, vote a certain way, you should do this. Hell no, I'm going to vote for my best interest and do what I want. So I think all of the identity politics, whether it's black, Asian, gay, straight, bi, whatever, is all out of style. And I think these folks are just living in the past.
Totally. Here is Outkick wrote this. Hold on a second. Where is it? Earlier in August. They said this week the NFL announced that for the 6th consecutive season, it would force the league's teams to display some sort of political social justice message behind the end zones. Bizarrely, 5 previous seasons of this performative gesture has not seemed to solve all of society's ills. But the NFL remains undeterred. This year will be the time that racists see the end racism message and decide to no longer be racists. Thank you, Roger Goodell. It's a good point. Like, what in the hell is the end racism message actually doing other than like all this performative BS, like land acknowledgments by the left, just making them feel superior or like they checked a box and they're good people?
No, absolutely. I'm tired of the land acknowledgements. I'm tired of the multiple national anthems, mainly because I just don't have that much of an attention span. I have to sit through multiple anthems and singing and performance. Let's do one national anthem and then let's get on with the game. Okay, let's get on with it and stop all the shenanigans. We don't need multiple national anthems. I also think, yes, there are people who are racist in this country. But when you travel across the country, a majority of Americans get along. They just want to pay their bills, feed their kids, take care of a loved one, have their kids go to school and not get indoctrinated. People aren't that focused on each other in general. So all of this focus on racism to me is just a little bit ridiculous, especially at a sporting event where you have people of all different backgrounds and persuasions coming together under one roof. And sports is the #1 unifier and equalizer. So why do you even need the end racism message? So all of it's just a bunch of buffoonery to me. It doesn't make any sense, but maybe it just shouldn't. I'm not a big sports person. Who knows?
Well, the NFL would never consider DEI amongst its players.
Right,
never.
exactly.
I mean, what are you going to have a bunch of like 5'5" Asian men out there who weigh less than I do? You're going to have the Link Lorens of the world. You're going to have the Megyn Kellys of the world, or the younger version running around. It's just not going to happen. Yeah. We all know that. Yeah. Like it's same with the NBA. Like you don't DEI those groups. You just got to DEI any sport that's dominated by, I guess, white people, which is just all of it is just so fucked up and wrong.
I'm a DEI hire at MK Media because I'm also blonde, and there are a lot of blondes cropping up at MK Media. So you have to be blonde, you have to be aggressive.
You do, and you have to be attractive. There's an attractiveness quotient. I'm not going to lie. I don't want to stare at unattractive people all day. Okay, there was some drama. I'm just raising this now because it's going to come back in our next chat, which is also sports. Also sports. We're going to move on to tennis in a second. There was drama last night because there was a big player named Jalen Carter for the Eagles who got kicked out of the game, opening game of the season, because he spat on another player. Let's see it. Do we have it? Yeah. Okay, so now here it starts with, you can see Carter, but it starts with the player for the Cowboys who's named Dak Prescott. He does like a little spit first. There's the big spit. We're going to replay it. Here's his spit. Here's the Cowboys spit. It's not exactly at the Eagle, but it's directionally at. And now here's the one by Carter that directly spat at the Cowboy, getting him ejected from the game, Link Lauren. Mm-hmm. And I have to say, very poor showing. Poor Doug. I'm constantly razzing him about the Eagles because I'm still not over the fact they hired Michael Vick, dog torturer, who just did the most vile, terrible things to a bunch of dogs for a very, very long time. And I was never satisfied he was truly sorry. But in any event, there they go again, behaving terribly, actually spitting on each other before the game starts, Link.
No, I know. As someone from Dallas, I think I'm a little bit embarrassed by all of this. But yeah, no, there's something very homoerotic about it. I mean, what are these men doing, spitting on each other and getting each other's faces? If someone's going to spit on me, you better buy me a drink first, okay? I want diamonds, okay? Like, if you're going to spit in my face, please, absolutely not. So no, there's something very homoerotic and like Grecian about it, like they're in the Parthenon. I love it. I think more spitting and more bumping of the chest. I want to know what happened afterward. That's what I want to know.
That's like me at the TSA. I'm like, a little down, a little to the left, a little harder.
Literally, the last time I was at the airport in Chicago, they pulled me aside. They're like, we have to go get a man because you're a guy. We have to get a guy to pat you down. The most thorough pat down. I was like, oh my God, I haven't had this much affection in a while. There's a lot of physical contact with this guy, this poor Hispanic man who's like, and I'm like, I promise you, I'm not a terrorist. I think I'm good, and very thorough investigation.
The next trip to the airport, you're washing your hands in TNT, putting it all over your body.
No, don't say that. Don't say that, people.
Okay, so that's what happened in the NFL last night. By the way, the Eagles won, so go Birds.
Yes.
Now tonight, Doug and I are actually going to the U.S. Open. And I'm really excited. We try to make it every year, or at least every other year if we can. It's in New York, which is close. And we're excited because we are big tennis fans. And it looks like we're going to see the match that has Jannik Sinner playing against a guy whose name I cannot pronounce. Going to be very exciting. Looking forward to the whole thing. But there has been some bad behavior in the headlines in the U.S. Open over the past couple of weeks. And again, it was so controversial that it made it over into the news lane and caught my attention. Now, I love tennis, but I only know like the top people. You know, my husband knows all of them and my kids know all of them. There is a female player named Taylor Townsend, and she got into it with Jelena, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, Ostapenko. I think she's Latvian, and Taylor Townsend's American. So I'm going to show you the interaction. It is relevant to what we're going to discuss. The American Taylor happens to be black. Ostapenko is white, and as I said, she speaks Russian, though this exchange is in English. And there was a second round match between the two of them last Wednesday where Ostapenko got mad. And the reason she got mad, this was explained to me by very smart tennis people, is because she hit a ball. Taylor Townsend hit a ball to her and it hit the net and then kind of dinked in a way that like no one could hit. You know what I mean? Which happens. And it's a fair point for Taylor Townsend. But typically the protocol, like the etiquette around that would be for the player who got that point, which is kind of a lame point. There's nothing wrong with the point, but it's kind of a lame point to say to the other player, sorry about that. You know, you're not really at fault at all. It's just a courtesy. Like, I know that one kind of sucked. It sucks when it happens to me. It sucked when it happened to you. It's like an etiquette thing. But Taylor Townsend did not do that. And Ostapenko was angry and Ostapenko lost. So Ostapenko got in the face of Taylor Townsend. And I'm going to play the video. You can't totally make out the exchange, but I'll try to help us through it. Here we go.
The opening set of this one, no love lost between these two.
You
have to say sorry. No, I don't. The crowd's booing her. Ostapenko is giving Taylor an earful. She's giving it right back. Pointing, aggressive, looking, talking. She's pointing the finger in the face. Okay, now she said to Taylor, you have no education. She said, you have no education. Oh. And she was mad that Taylor didn't say I'm sorry. You heard her kick it off by saying, you have to say, I'm sorry. And Taylor said, no, I don't. And then Taylor, at the tail end of that clip, went to the audience and was like, you know, with the arms, like, let's get it going. Yes. Because it's a U.S. audience. It's her home court advantage. And then Ostapenko later suggested that was like a misuse of the crowd. But now my tennis sources tell me it's actually not a misuse of the crowd, that every player, when they're in front of their hometown audience, uses the audience to intimidate the opposite player. It's done in tennis. So Ostapenko really didn't have grounds to complain. It's like, too bad, you're in America. She's an American. But the you don't have education comment, of course, gets racialized by the loons. And unfortunately, this Ostapenko wound up being like, hey, I'm very sorry for that. In no way am I racist, nor did I mean that as a racist thing. Right. She was meaning like educate yourself on the etiquette, right? And then Taylor Townsend had a great moment when she was asked at a presser, what do you make? She apologized. Like, what do you make of it? And the thing to do, Link, was to say, I get it. Tempers flare at these events. You know, it was a fair match. That was an annoying point. I hear her, like, I'm glad I won, but no hard feelings. That's not how it went. Here is how it went. I think it's SOT 3. Yeah, I think it's SOT 3. Oh. Wait. Yeah, no, sorry. 4.
That's nice that, she did that, that she apologized. I mean, that's fine. That's cool. At the end of the day, I think that it's a learning lesson for her. You cannot push your expectations on other people. And that's ultimately what happened. She expected for me to react a certain type of way, and I didn't, and it infuriated her, and which led her to say things that are hurtful, that are belligerent, that are offensive, not only to me, but, to the sport and, to a whole culture of people that I try to do my best to represent the best that I can. But But I really hope that from this, she can take that, like, hey, you can't control people. And it's better just to focus on yourself.
Here's a little more from post the match, right after the match that Wednesday. Taylor Townsend again, SOT 3.
For a lot of black people, hearing no education, no class would be interpreted, and rightfully so, as a dog whistle. Do you believe that had racial undertones?
I can't speak on what her intentions were. I can only speak on how I handled the situation. And saying I have no education and no class, I don't really take that personally because I know that it's so far from the truth. And if I allow what other people have to say about me affect me in that way, then they win. I didn't take it in that way. But also, that has been a stigma in our community of, being not educated and all the things when it's the furthest thing from the truth. And the thing that I'm the most proud of is that I let my racket talk.
She was so close to not taking the bait. But she did take the bait, and then as I played you like a day later after there was an actual apology, she took it even more. So what do you make of it, Link?
Well, what's interesting, I didn't know higher education was a requirement to play sports. Like, is Serena Williams and Mensa? Probably not. I think there are plenty of athletes who can't spell mom backwards. You know what I'm saying? But they're incredible
most tennis
athletes.
players don't even go to college. They go right to the pro leagues.
Nor should they. Go play. Come on, I've seen challengers on Amazon. So no, I don't think higher education is a requirement to play in sports. Also, I know plenty of white people without class. Hello, I've been to my family reunion. So these people saying, oh my God, you have to have class and education, and it's a racial comment. No, there are Black, Asian, Hispanic people of all different backgrounds who I would say have no class. So I don't think
exactly
that's necessarily
right.
a racial comment, in the heat of the moment especially. So, she says she let that racket talk, so that racket talked, I guess.
She says you have no education and you have no class. And to me, it was, and Ostapenko's got a long list of bad behavior on her resume. So I make no excuses for her bad behavior, like just her general cantankerous nature. But I'm just saying to racialize that comment, to say to you, like you can't say to a Black player that you lack education, you lack class in this context in which you're complaining that she failed of a moment of basic etiquette. That's what she's saying. You failed to say you were sorry about the shot. Everything has to be racialized. And of course you heard the reporter there teeing it up. There was another exchange where a reporter teed it up to Naomi Osaka. Didn't you think it was racist? And, of course she's like, yeah, it was racist. Like, it's like, especially the younger crowd, Link, your crowd,
Yes.
loves to racialize everything.
Yeah, no, I think maybe she's going for like an NAACP Image Award or something. She's going to make the rounds on all the shows. But I think this is what people want to see when they go to sporting events. Like, I don't think Alec and Ilaria Baldwin are going to keep up. Oh, is this love? Is this? Did they make a point? They're going to see some drama and action. That's part of why people go. It's part of why people tune in. And the guys get into fights all the time. They smash things. They get in each other's faces. I don't see what the big deal is. You know what? You exchange some words. Move on. Get over it, everybody. Let's all grow up. Everyone's so sensitive these days, too. So have you noticed that, Megyn? Everyone is just so sensitive. Everyone's a little crybaby. They can't take criticism. They wear everything on their chest. It's just like, get over it. Grow up. Okay?
I know.
Don't be so sensitive.
I know. Well, one of the players I really like is Medvedev. Daniel Medvedev, he's Russian. They don't show the Russian flag when the Russian players play. Like on the screen, they have no flag. It's so dumb because of the Ukrainian war. Like, it's just a man without a country. We just have to wonder where he's from. It's like, oh, that'll teach Putin. Oh, ha! He's going to withdraw the troops tomorrow once he sees you're not showing Medvedev's flag when he's out there. It's so dumb. But anyway, he's a great tennis player. We saw him a couple years in the finals a couple years ago. He's great. And he's had a couple of struggles the past season. And he was mad at this umpire because what happened was he was in a match and a photographer walked on the court. Like, not in the middle of them, but like on the court. And the umpire was like to Medvedev's opponent, he goes, you can take another serve. Like that serve you just took while the photographer was walking on the court won't count against you. And Medvedev did not like that. He wound up yelling at the umpire. Here it is in SOT 8.
Wait, please, not now. Get off the court, please. Looks like a photographer had just
First
come
serve
onto the court.
Ladies and gentlemen, because of the delay caused by an outside
Bonzi
interference.
getting the first serve, and now
First serve
Medvedev's
has
going
been
to have a
granted.
word.
Here's Medvedev. He's telling the crowd to make noise. He's mad that the guy's getting another serve.
And it's a first serve. You want to go home. He wants to go home, guys. He doesn't like to be here. He gets paid by the match, not by the hour. Yeah. What did Riley Opelka say? What did Riley Opelka say? What did Riley...
Let's play.
So he's very mad, saying this ump gets paid by the match, not by the hour. He wants to go home, trying to get the crowd riled up. And then later, Medvedev lost and smashed his racket. Here it is in V2. Let's watch it. Stand by. Video 2. Do we have it? There it is. He's sitting and smashing it. I mean, to me, that seems phoned in, Link. I don't know. If you're going to smash, shouldn't you stand?
I mean, I'm down the middle on this one. As an influencer, content is content. I've stumbled onto some fields before and stuff. You know, you got to get a picture. So I can't hate the photographer too much, but also maybe he should have gotten another serve, right? If a photographer is going on the court, I called it the field. If the photographer is going on the court, you know, you might want to get another serve. But yeah, no, smashing the racket. Like I said, this is what we want to see from these gladiators. And they have like 15, 20 rackets. They smash those things on purpose. Serena Williams has done it. Wasn't it a few years ago Serena Williams got into it a little bit, or there was a big emotional moment? This is what people want to see. This is what sports is about for thousands of years. So I don't know why everyone's acting so precious this year. Come on, let's get some drama. I'm fine with it.
The greatest moment ever. I think we have it cut. If we have it cut, could you bring it over? It's when Serena Williams yelled at that little line umpire, the little line judge. And,
Even
and
I know this.
Yeah. And I think she said she was going to I think if memory serves, it was like, I'm going to fucking kill you. It was like an actual threat. And the little lady was like, oh, she pitter-pattered down the court to the main umpire in the big chair, like, oh. She said she's going to kill me.
I wouldn't cross Serena.
No.
Serena could break me with like her pinky finger. I'm not crossing Serena. Hell no. Absolutely not.
So I don't think this is, I mean, like he got fined for both of those incidents for yelling at the chair umpire and then for smashing his racket. And I agree with you. Like, it's not good behavior. It's not like it should be encouraged, but the anger on the court in response to a bad call, I think, is like understandable. We can't have threats. It's true. We shouldn't have threats. That's excessively bad behavior. We've got more. Speaking of sports, Naomi Osaka's back. I need my own mental health room and a mental health break. And I can't be asked about why I'm not as good on clay because that messes with my mental health. She's back. She's making a comeback. She had a baby. She took some time off for her mental health. And now she's doing well. She was on her way to potentially the finals of the U.S. Open, but she lost last night. But it came to my attention that just 1 month ago, less than, on August 8th at the Canadian Open, she made it to the finals there. And when she lost in the finals to Canada's Victoria Boko, here's what she said in SOT 8B.
Thanks, I guess. I don't really want to take up too much time, so I'll just say thank you to everyone. Thank you to my team. Thank you to the ball kids. Thank you to the organizers and all the volunteers. And I hope you guys had a good night.
Noticeably missing from the list of those she thanked was her opponent, who totally looked up to her and said that Naomi was like a real role model to her. She did not get thanked. She starts it with thanks, I guess. And once again proves that when the spotlight is on her, she really can't handle the pressure very well. Now, I will say last night she did better. So keep it rolling, Naomi. If you continue losing, show that grace. If you continue winning, even better. Show that grace even more so. But this is the woman who we have to thank for now there having to be mental health rooms at all the tennis venues so that individual players can go with their little mental health guru, you know, like Jennifer Aniston's boyfriend, to be told they're smart enough, they're good enough, and gosh darn it, people like them.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's with all these people who need to be coddled going into careers in the public eye. Like, if you know you're someone who can't handle the heat and can't take the limelight, why are you pursuing a career at major in the public eye? But Naomi Osaka, as someone who doesn't even follow sports that closely, anytime I see clips of Naomi Osaka, she's kind of a downer. She's kind of down.
Yes.
Yeah. Meh, I don't know. So, that's really no shock to me for Naomi Osaka. I don't know much about her except those moments where she's being kind of a downer.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. I'll say when Djokovic played his last match, he played it against an American, Taylor Fritz. And so the crowd was totally with Fritz, even though they love Joker, as they call him. This was, it was about backing the American. We haven't had an American man in like the finals, I think, since 2003. Is that the stat? Something like that. So they really wanted Fritz to win, and he was losing to Novak. And the crowd was booing him, and they were rough, and they were cheering, his faults. And that's considered bad form, too. And Novak, to his credit, got out there and started giving the crowd a hard time. He started waving his arms at the crowd. He was going to the ump, saying, kind of get them in charge, in control. This is supposed to be an elite tennis match. I think that's fine. Give it right back, right? Take it like a professional athlete. Don't cry in your soup. Don't mope around. Don't complain about the crowd after the fact, like they were the reason you lost. Give it right back to them. Like, oh, yeah, how do you like me now? Which is exactly what he did. It shows the mark of a true athlete. Okay, last one. Venus Williams is back in the tournament. She of course, she was one of the best in the world, but now she's gotten older, and so she hasn't been playing. But she's back, and she was asked an important question by independent journalist Nicholas. It says his last name is Balzi. That one wonders whether that's a real name or this is a plant. Either way, I'm in favor of it. Here's how that
What's
went.
his number? I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
How are you? You have an opinion on biological men playing in women's sports? Any thoughts on that?
No thoughts on it. Once again, she's failed to say anything about it. She's a leader now. She's an elder stateswoman. She's totally in a position to set the right tone on this. As I have to say, a woman with whom I have absolutely no agreements on anything political, Martina Navratilova. I disagree with her on everything except for this one issue, where she has spoken out about it. But Venus Williams could not find the courage. Shame on her.
No, it's funny. These celebrities are still scared of the cancel culture and the cancel mob. It's like, no, come on over. The water's warm over here. A majority of Americans don't think we should have men and women's sports, but I think they're so scared of getting canceled. Maybe they'll lose sponsorships. We see this all the time, but they need to understand a majority of Americans don't want men and women's sports, and you guys look ridiculous. And shame on these women who have big platforms, especially in sports, and they're not using them to condemn this. Why are you not using your platform? You could open yourself up to a whole new audience. It's like when Taylor Swift endorsed Kamala because she was, couching Kamala as the savior of women who was going to protect women's rights. Kamala wanted open borders, men and women's sports, abortion till the last minute. So I just don't really understand some of these girls who come out on the wrong side of history. Open yourself up to a majority of the country who's here and being moderate and having common sense.
Yes, it's a total missed opportunity to lead, to show courage. There's more than just courage on the court when you're hitting the round yellow ball. Venus. This was another opportunity, and you blew it. I hope you rectify it, along with Serena. Okay. Now, we started it off with the discussion of Taylor Townsend, this U.S. tennis star, who doesn't like being told she lacks etiquette or education because she thinks that's a racial slur against her. There is another black woman who I want to discuss who absolutely does have education. She went to college. She went to a fancy high school. She went to a fancy college. She went to law school and practiced law for a couple of years. And now she's a U.S. Congresswoman, but apparently doesn't want us to see any of that in the way she actually behaves. Here is Jasmine Crockett on some terrible show involving the loser fired Don Lemon and somebody else. Here we go.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
They're going to lose it. Okay? Okay. Thoughts, Link, on the reinvention of Jasmine Crockett?
We need a new drinking game and don't drink and drive, but every time Jasmine Crockett unveils a new accent, take a shot, okay? You will be blotto in about 5 minutes because she unveils new accents every 5 minutes. Yeah, exactly. She unveils new accents all the time, and she wants us to forget that she used to speak like this very educated young woman. She used to speak like Eliza Doolittle.
Wait, we have it.
The rain.
Here.
Oh, yes.
Listen to her here. SOT 19.
In my mind, I'm thinking, I just got to Austin, and I had to beat 5 people to get here. I don't know about this. You know, the congressional seat is over 4 times as large as my House seat. That if you really want to make real change, you really need to consider it.
Wait, we've got to hear SOT 18 again. Wait, just now replay SOT 18.
Maybe because these people, they are crazy because they always talk about how Christian they is. Yeah, I don't know how many of them on that side are getting divorced because they getting caught up sleeping with their co-workers, staffers, interns, all the things. Yeah, you ain't got to believe me. Just go Google. You'll find some of it. I'm telling you, and the wives is being messy and petty. They putting it in the divorce. I'm like, ooh, that's got to be true because your lawyer would know that they going to lose it if they...
What? What's with the refusal to have subject-verb agreement? How is that cool?
So like I said, we need a drinking game. When she unveils a new accent, take a shot. She also reminds me of that Steve Martin, Queen Latifah movie, Bringing Down the House. Like, she's so stereotypical and she's playing into these stereotypical tropes. I guess she's trying to play to the lowest common denominator, but she's a fraud. She's fraudulent. Like many Democrats, like Cory Booker, they're just these overgrown theater kids. As a recovering theater kid, like Kamala, game knows game because I'm a recovering theater kid, so I'm the perfect person to call you out. But if you look at old clips of Jasmine Crockett, she used to speak like Eliza Doolittle. The rain in Spain falls gently on the plain. Like, she was very prim and proper. Now Jasmine Crockett's like, this mofo crack-a-lack-a jackin' booka-backa-backa. Like, what happened to Jasmine Crockett? She has totally been body snatched. And then Jasmine Crockett, my thing is this. I wouldn't even care that she wants to do the fake accents and like she's auditioning for Bad Girls Club or Real Housewives of Atlanta. I wouldn't care at all if her district was up and running perfectly. As someone from Dallas, people message me all day long, friends from high school, friends from childhood, saying, oh my God, I live in Jasmine's district. This business is shuttering. We don't ever hear from her. We don't ever see her. So I would overlook all of that if she had some hallmark accomplishments and achievements, but she's busy filming TikToks dancing down the hallway because, like all Democrats, they don't want to work, they want to twerk, and they want to film videos and dance and break out into song. And I don't think we're even going to have to talk about Jasmine Crockett in a year or two. I don't think she has a future in politics whatsoever. I think she's done. I think she's really going to be gone.
Can I hear that imitation one more time?
This mofo crack-a-lack-a chicken name. That's what she does. It's like literally like Big Bird. It's like this Big Bird. She's auditioning for a reality show. If anyone has Andy Cohen's number, Andy Cohen, you need to reach out to Jasmine Crockett immediately.
Totally.
Real Housewives of Potomac or DC, whatever it is. I think she'd be amazing on there. But in Congress, no. And her people in her district, they're not happy with her either. So she can blame, oh, they're gerrymandering, they're pushing me out. It's like, no, you probably wouldn't win again anyway because you're a failure.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention she's a bully. Just read the New York Post. Right. She denied it. But I mean, there was all sorts of eyewitness testimonials from current and former staff saying what a bully she is. Marjorie Taylor Greene was here telling me about how she's got some guy she uses who follows her around to carry her big handbag, to put her pillow behind her back. She thinks she is Queen Latifah, actually. That maybe that's what she's going for. An actual queen, though. All right, now you
she wants to be
Cory
driven
Booker.
Around in like a motorcade. Anyway, yes.
Yeah,
Cory Booker.
it's never going to happen. We've got to get to Cory Booker. Cory Booker claims that he just got engaged to a woman. And the photos posted online are truly like the fakest things I have seen in a long, long time. Like, they are the most over the top. Every photo for the listening audience is him with a beautiful looking Hawaiian gal. She looks Hawaiian. They have the Hawaiian leis on. He's carrying her, the huge smile. Like you couldn't even make yourself smile as large as these two are smiling in every shot. We're happy. We're in love. Yes, we are. We're hetero. So your thoughts on his alleged engagement to a woman?
Looking at Cory Booker's engagement photos, I think the only thing faker than those photos is her orgasm later tonight. I think that's probably what's going to be a lot faker than those photos. And like you said, why are their mouths so big? How did he find someone else in life who has a mouth as big as his? It should be like an advertisement for Subway.
Everything.
Yes. It's like an advertisement for Subway. You can fit like a whole foot long in there. You could do like a whole veneer advertisement with those things. Massive, massive, massive teeth. The whole thing seemed performative
Here, they look
to me.
like someone's hurting them. Someone's like sticking a dagger in their bellies. Here, it's like you could easily caption it. No, oh, help us.
Yeah, she's
it's
going
so
along with it.
manufactured, Link.
Well, also in the announcement, Cory Booker referred to her as his partner. I am tired of the word partner. Okay, unless we're going to the US Open, I don't want to be called a partner. You know what I'm saying? I'm either a boyfriend
Yes.
or a husband. We're not playing pickleball. And men and women, y'all know in the comments what I'm talking about. Years ago, men invented this word partner to kind of skirt responsibility. They knew they kind of had to move out of the girlfriend zone. They didn't want to really commit to get in the ring and getting engaged. So it's like, this is my partner. No. We need to let go of this whole partner nonsense. Y'all are either boyfriend, girlfriend, or your husband and wife. We're not doing this little intermediary, like we're braiding each other's hair and being partners. And Gavin Newsom does the same thing too, another elite Democrat, which is an oxymoron. But Gavin Newsom uses the term too. He called his wife, Jennifer Sybil Newsom, his partner, or the first partner of California. This woman's given you multiple kids and she can't even get upgraded to wife? You can't even call her your wife. You're like, this is my partner. It's like we're in like Brokeback Mountain or the Wild West or something. You can't even get called a wife. So I'm tired of all these Democrat, liberal, beta males referring to people as partner. We're done with the word partner. I will say I'm always going to root for love. I don't want to wish any ill will on Cory Booker. I hope they make it down the aisle and to the wedding night. But I think he's just setting himself up to run in 2028. And he doesn't have a prayer. I mean, he was an abject failure in 2020. All he's done, I think, is filibuster for 25 hours on the Senate floor. He has no achievements whatsoever. So the one thing I'll say, though, too, I know I'm filibustering right now, but when I look at these men, like Cory Booker, when I look at folks like Chris Murphy, these male senators, right? I hope they don't have daughters because they support men and women's sports. They support the transing of kids. They support open borders. They support all these policies that are detrimental to young women's lives, right? They want to basically eradicate women and all these rights they've apparently fought for decades. So I hope Cory Booker doesn't have a daughter, and I hope all these Democrats come to the realization you guys are going to have to support these young girls in the classroom, in the locker room, and on the sports field, or I don't think you should be parents. And Gavin Newsom is the same way. He was going to come down on the side of, I don't think it's fair to have men and women's sports. Now he's fighting with the DOJ to keep men and women's sports in his state, and he has daughters. So shame on all of these men, honestly, as parents.
Well, I just want to say, apropos of absolutely nothing, I love gay men. I have a lot of gay friends in my life. But if you are a gay man, you should not marry a woman. You should not marry a woman. I don't care what the reasons are, because of your parents, your religion, your political ambitions. I'm just saying this at random. Do not marry a woman and do not have kids with a woman. Be honest about who you are and follow your true path, because you leave a lot of carnage in your wake when you make a choice like that. And it's very unfair to the woman and to the children you're planning on having with her. Just don't do it. Don't do it. A political future is not a good reason to do such a thing. Okay, that's apropos of nothing.
Yes.
We've got to talk about Meghan Markle. She's out with her big season 2 of With Love, Meghan, which is really such a fake season 2. I said this as soon as they announced it. She had just shot extra episodes, and in order to save face when season 1 got panned, she said, renewed for a second season. Well, really, they're just releasing the extra episodes. It's very obvious. You're so dumb. We're not all as dumb as you think we are. Here she is. I just want to start with this video. It's video 5, V5, where she is cooking. This is actually posted on her Instagram as like a promo for her show on August 19th. She is cooking, and she is wearing thousands of dollars worth of jewelry to promote her We Can All Relate to Each Other video or cooking and home, Martha Stewart type show link. That's what she thinks we're going to relate to. Somebody calculated it up, and it was literally tens of thousands of dollars that she's wearing just on her hands here and her outfit. And then she decides to be super relatable. She's known as a bully. Speaking of bullies, she's bullied so many people out of jobs, according to the Daily Mail and her biographers. And who does she invite on as one of her big celebrity gets? Known bully Chrissy Teigen, who she's bullied countless people online. She's had to apologize for bullying a 15-year-old. She's absolutely ruthless. So she decides two bullies get together. And and Chrissy Teigen, yet another super relatable star who's allegedly one of her great friends, gets on there and cannot even remember her own children's birthdays. Here's the top 30.
Tattoo of their birthdays because I don't remember. Sweet. Yeah. So April 14th, May. Wait,
She's had it
16 or
tattooed.
18? Oh, no.
18.
Oh,
18.
no. That's John? Is it Brett? Or no, who's this? Miles. Is May.
She's asking her husband, John Legend, when their child was born.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little bit blurry. It's all right. It's all right. You got a husband and a tattoo to help you stay on top of all the things.
I'm sorry. She's an idiot. Chrissy Teigen is truly an idiot. Meghan Markle's not an idiot, but Chrissy Teigen is an idiot and 100% a bully brat.
No, and speaking of the jewelry, over at the Spot On Bureau, we adhere to the facts. We did our own calculations. I've been telling people it's like $327,000 worth of jewelry. I think it was like hundreds because it was like 200-something thousand pounds. We calculated it. We're not in Mensa either, so higher education. But yeah, no, I've been telling people it's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry. And who doesn't cook in hair extensions and makeup and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of jewelry? But no, the thing with Meghan Markle is all of her A-list friends and acquaintances, they have dropped her like a hot potato. Like Oprah wants nothing to do with her. Tyler Perry wants nothing to do with her. Ellen and Portia, they want nothing to do with her because they're career people. They're going to put their careers first. Meghan Markle, she's basically persona non grata, and her projects fail. Her projects fail time and time again. It's embarrassing. And this cooking show, there's no cooking. We tuned in to watch the first few episodes for research. I'm a martyr. I'm a masochist. I suffer for the audience. But we tuned in to watch With Love Meghan. She was doing like water marbling, arts and crafts, making flower arrangements. Then she took vegetables and fruits and dipped them in paint and put them on aprons. Like it was like watching a woman in an insane asylum, but they're letting her kind of do arts and crafts where she can't hurt herself. They're like, okay, let her kind of paint with her fingers. Let her do some flower arrangements. But there's also a Truman Show element where we all know she's kind of nuts and cuckoo cuckoo, but she's not in on the joke really. Like it's the Truman Show. We're watching her. And even the people Meghan has come over to cook in the kitchen, they're kind of looking at her too in a funny way. And she made a comment in one of the early episodes. She said something, nobody answered. 5 minutes later, she tries to crack a joke and she goes, oh, nobody's laughing. Even the people over there were like, what are we doing at this rented mansion, like making, pretzels or whatever? Like, it was insane to me. So no, Meghan Markle, she's a crazy woman. She's nuts. I think she's going to have blonde hair in about 12 minutes because Catherine, the Princess of Wales, just went blonde. She's always chasing something and chasing someone else. Like Prince George was on the cover of People magazine. They did a huge spread. He's going to be king someday. Look at George. What does Meghan Markle do? She posts her little kids on the set of her Netflix show. So she's always trying to do kind of the knockoff Sheen version of whatever the real royals are doing over in the UK.
Desperate. She's desperate to be like, me too, me too. Right. She also like this person who's supposed to be so relatable to us. Like she's constantly like, I'm just like you. I'm just like a regular working mom. I've got all. She's got a craft barn on her property. She just goes out to her craft barn. Fellow moms out there, like you all had when you wanted to get like messy with your kids with paint and markers. We all had a craft barn to which we would retreat to preserve our home. Here's one more where Tan France of, I think, is he on Queer Eye? He shows up and mocks her in SOT 29.
What was that you just added?
Flower sprinkles. I love them.
Wow, that's the gayest I've seen in a long time.
The gayest shit I've seen in a long time. Right. Okay. She did the flower sprinkle thing in season 1. There's nothing original here, Link. It's more recycled pablum, which is being panned universally by the critics, by the way.
No, absolutely. She really wants to be the next Martha Stewart. But what Martha Stewart has is authenticity. I mean, the woman went to prison. She had an ankle bracelet, an ankle monitor. Meghan Markle has nothing. She can't cook. She can't clean. She can't do good flower arrangements. All she's done is put like flower sprinkles on food. I feel like she's trying to poison people. And then we zoomed in on some of the pictures here at the Bureau. We found that they were like bugs and insects in some of the flowers she was putting on her food. So if you eat at Meghan Markle's house, please be careful. It's like an episode of Survivor, like you're over in Cambodia or something eating flies and crickets. You're like swallowing crickets if you eat at Meghan Markle's house. So be careful, everybody, going to Meghan's house. But no, I think she's someone like Jasmine Crockett. We're not really even going to see her a year from now. I think she has no more deals. Yeah. You can't buy her anymore.
Well,
like,
Harry's going to meet with the king next week, trying to patch things up because their relevance has expired. So we'll see. Hopefully the king will not bend. I believe William won't bend, but you know, the king, it's different when it's your child. So fingers crossed he holds firm. Link, great to see you. Everybody go subscribe to Spot On with Link Lauren, wherever you get your podcasts, and on YouTube, youtube.com/@SpotOnWithLink. Coming up, Kelly's Court. Football season is back on Prize Picks. We make decisions every day, but on Prize Picks, being right when you make a decision can get you paid cash. So kick off the season right by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. With millions of users and billions of dollars awarded in winnings, Prize Picks is the place to put your takes to the test. Just pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projections, and if you are right, you could win big. Prize Picks is available in 40-plus states, including California, Texas, Florida, and Georgia. Prize Picks does not play around when it comes to your money. All transactions on the app are fast, safe, and secure. Download the Prize Picks app today, use code Megyn, and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play those $5. That's code Megyn on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly in lineups when you play $5. Win or lose, you're going to get $50 in lineups just for playing, guaranteed. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details. We've got a big Kelly's Court today, a verdict in the Donna Adelson case we've been telling you about. Plus, rapper Cardi B is going viral for her courtroom antics. We have the video and the verdict there, too. Joining me now to react to all of this, 2 contributors to our new MK True Crime podcast, which is on fire over on YouTube and on podcasts. You go and subscribe right now. Just go to youtube.com/@. You have to do the @ sign now on YouTube addresses. I don't know why. I don't make these rules, but I have to follow them. youtube.com/@MK True Crime /@MK True Crime. Dave Aronberg and Jonna Spilbor. Gentlemen, lady, great to have you.
Great to be here, Megyn. Thank you.
Awesome. This trial provided quite a bit of drama. And Dave, I mean, I know it's personal for you because you were friends with the victim. Just as a refresher for the audience who might not have been paying attention to it, the victim was shot and killed. He'd been married to a woman named Wendi Adelson, and they had 2 sons, and they lived in Tallahassee. And she really wanted to move down south in Florida to be closer to her mom. And the husband didn't want it. Her mom, Donna, the woman who's on trial. The husband did not want it, Daniel. He said, no, I want to stay in Tallahassee where I'm a college professor, and I don't want you to take our boys down there either. And then the grandmother just received an unfavorable ruling from a judge up in Tallahassee saying, either preventing her from seeing them unsupervised, but it was something limiting her ability to see the sons, or her grandsons, in the way she wanted. And before you knew it, the decedent, Daniel Markle, was killed. He was murdered. And it turned out he was murdered by 2 hitmen. 2 hitmen who were hired by this woman. And this woman had been dating / working part-time for the murder victim's wife's brother. So what the evidence has shown is that Wendi appears to have, she's been accused, she's the only one who hasn't been formally charged, but it certainly looks like Wendi, and definitely Wendy's mother, Donna, wanted Dan dead. And one of them, the jury has just said Donna, went through her son, Charlie, who is the brother of Wendi, went through her son and said, go have Wendy's husband killed. So Charlie did it. Charlie had his girlfriend, said, do you know any bad actors? She said, I know these 2 guys. They hired them. They killed him. And those two guys are in jail, one for life, the one who cooperated for 19 years. The woman who hired them, who'd been sort of dating the brother, she's in jail for life. The brother, Charlie, is in jail for life. And now finally, the prosecutors turned around and they're not yet at Wendi, the wife. They went after the mom, Donna. And Donna just had a very bad day in court as the verdict was read. Here you go, SOP 46.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count one of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count two. We, the jury, find as follows as to count two of the indictment. Conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count three. We, the jury, find as follows as to count three of the indictment. Solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder.
She's wailing and bending over.
And it is signed and dated by the foreperson. One moment. Members of the jury, the bailiff will escort you to the jury room.
All right, Dave. Guilty on all counts. Donna Adelson goes down. Are you surprised?
No. Megyn, this was an easy one for those of us who filed the case, and the jury got it right in 3.5 hours, which is about the same amount of time they took to convict Charlie, the victim's brother-in-law. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. Both of them were so cocky. They thought they can get away with murder, and now they're both in prison for life. Next, you would think, would be Wendi, the ex-wife. You would. If I were Wendi, I would not be buying green bananas right now. You never know when Bebe Rebozo and Richard Nixon line, for those who are too young to realize that one. The Wendi there's been a lot of focus on her, but it looks like the family tried to keep her out of it, but there is evidence against her. In fact, the prosecution tipped their hand and made this case a bit about Wendi. They showed evidence we didn't know before. Like, for example, did you know that Donna, the now convicted mother-in-law, she had Danny, the victim's make, model of his car, and his license plate in her day planner from the year 2014, which was 2 years after the divorce. Why would the ex-mother-in-law have Danny's license plate in her day planner? And who would give that license plate information to her? Remember, the killers followed Danny from the gym, tailed his car, and then went up to him when he arrived home and shot him in the head. I knew Danny. He was a great guy. No one deserves his fate. But when you know how Danny loved his kids so much, it just compounds the tragedy.
Oh, my gosh. That's a good point. And yeah, we learned some of these points because the defense, Donna's defense, started to kind of point the finger at Wendi, which showed their desperation because so far the mother seems to have been running cover for Wendi. The mother appears to have killed for Wendi. And herself, because she wanted more access to her grandkids. That's at least what the jury has said, that she's the grandmother of the two boys. She's the mother of Wendi. Donna went down. And it wasn't that tough, Jonna, because once we saw the video of Donna fleeing and the cops tracking her down at the airport and arresting her, it was like, who flees? I guess you could flee if you just thought you were going to be convicted and you were innocent, but the video was quite damning.
Well, who else? Who wouldn't want a one-way ticket to Vietnam for a little R&R? Maybe some spa days there, Megyn, because her excuse was, well, that's why I was going. I was going because I just needed to get away from all this media. I didn't know when I was going to come back. So she buys a one-way ticket to a country with no extradition policy with the United States because she just wanted to relax. Nobody bought it. The jury didn't buy it. And that was, obviously an attempt for her to get out of Dodge, and it's consciousness of guilt. And the jury was not fooled, I don't think, for a second by anything the defense put up. And I don't like criticizing other attorneys, but what defense was there really? If we reanalyze it now, there wasn't much of a defense. This was kind of a week long of just sort of shuffling along and hoping that some juror was going to have some sort of sympathy for this granny And they obviously didn't. Not only didn't they, but they basically broke a land speed record and getting to a guilty verdict on all the charges.
Yes, Ashley Merchant of Fannie Willis fame is also part of MK True Crime. And she was making this point. She's, like you guys, an active trial attorney, and was making the point of how she would have cross-examined the state's investigator who did take the stand. You got a law enforcement officer up there. That's a person through whom you can exploit weaknesses in the state's case. And she did a little diatribe on how she would have done it. Here it is. It's quick. SOT 40.
We don't really have a theme. Why not ask, isn't it true you don't have any physical evidence linking Donna Adelson to this crime? Isn't it true you don't have any forensic evidence? Isn't it true you don't have any eyewitness testimony? Isn't it true you don't have a confession? Isn't it true you don't have fingerprints? You don't have DNA? You don't have any of that stuff. Why not hammer him with that?
That's not how it went in the end. And I will say the defense attorney, Jackie Fulford, I'll let the audience be the judge. Here's SOT 45.
Not one single thing that said anything about wanting Danny Markle killed. The most aggressive thing they have are her foul words and wanting to aggravate him. This is not, could she possibly have done it? Could she probably have done it? Might she have done it? You have been sitting here hearing testimony for almost 2 weeks. And there's not a single piece of evidence that connects my client to that murder. Charlie Adelson? Yep. Potentially Wendi Adelson? She's the one who said she hated him. She's the one fighting with him in court. Donna Adelson? Nothing. Not a single piece of evidence. You have to find her not guilty because they have failed to do their job.
The problem for her there, Dave, is that wasn't true.
Right. I mean, you had a undercover conversation between Donna and her son after there was this bump. So they had this undercover officer essentially bump into Donna and demand money to take care of one of the killers. This was an FBI agent. This was trying to generate chatter over the phone. The first thing she does is call her son Charlie, not police. Didn't throw away the paper. Nope, you call your son Charlie. And when Charlie said, "What's this about?" she said, "It's about the both of us." Wow. The FBI agent did not even mention Charlie in the conversation. It's about the both of us, meaning Charlie, who's been convicted of the murder. And so that's a confession. That's direct evidence. And then, of course, you have the license plate. And no, the lawyer is right. You don't have her saying, "We need to kill Danny Markle. Let's kill him." That's not how the real world works. She spoke in code the entire time. Who speaks in code, Megyn, except for people who are guilty? Why speak in code? They kept using this phrase, the TV. That's how they referred to the murder. Ironically, it's the TV that was broken on the day of the murder that is Wendy's alibi. She had a TV repairman come over to fix her TV, as if repairmen for TVs are really a thing. I mean, don't you just buy a new TV? No one does that.
No one does that. I know. Yeah, honestly, I've been poor and I've had money, and you don't call a TV repairman. It's not a thing. You lament the loss of your television and you suck it up and find a way to buy a new one. Here is the prosecutor making this point about talking in code. Contrary to the defense's argument that there's absolutely no evidence tying her to this crime, you're right. What innocent person sounds like this? SOT 44, I think. Yeah. No, sorry, 43.
This TV was probably about 5. She's the original code talker. This TV, and look what he says. Well, they asked you for $5,000. He decodes it. He's not the one talking in code. He's decoding it and saying what he's picking up what she's putting down. There's no TV mentioned by the undercover operative that approached Donna Adelson on the street. A couple big takeaways for you, please. Innocent people do not talk in code. Second big takeaway, TV is code for the murder throughout this case.
Okay, Jonna, she's making a good point, but it's very frustrating, right? As somebody who's actually tried cases, isn't it frustrating to see somebody talking to the jury like that? So stilted, so halting, like make a passionate argument without looking at your notes. Tell them a story, have a crescendo and a decrescendo. It's just, I can't stand when I see lawyers talking like that.
It's a little bit lazy when you have to refer to your notes. She could have said something a little more, I don't know, upbeat. Like, I guess Donna didn't learn in murder for hire school that if you're going to talk in code, both of you need to talk in code instead of having the person who's receiving your code decoding it on your call, right? I mean, it's just kind of crazy. And maybe she could have done that because it is so ridiculous. There's no getting around the fact that she talked in code. The defense didn't do anything with that. They just kind of left it alone. So it was actually a major point that Donna Adelson's team could not talk her out of. And I have to go back to the other side that you showed when her defense attorney was closing and saying, look, there's not a single piece of evidence tying her to the crime. She was right. There were 100 pieces of evidence tying her to this crime.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, that works if it's true. If it's one of those cases where it's like really made up, it's thin air. But this case had a lot to prove tying Donna Adelson to the crime, and the jury totally got it. So that leads us to Wendi. I'll just show you a clip of Wendi, members of the audience, so that you can see who we're talking about, but she's next. Here's the wife.
He's not here to give them advice.
He is not.
He can't come to any of their functions, sports, anything else.
Correct.
They're not eating kosher like they would have with their father.
They are not.
They don't have him at all.
They don't have him in their lives day to day, no.
Because on July the 18th of 2014, he was brutally murdered in his driveway. Isn't that true?
That is true.
And you testified on direct that anybody in your family that had anything to do with it should be held responsible. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And that includes you, doesn't it?
Anyone who's responsible.
Interestingly there, Dave, that was the defense. Right. So it's her mother's lawyer doing that cross-examination of her. And honestly, that's what's so galling about these murder for hire plots when they're orchestrated by the spouse, which I believe this one was. I think Wendy's going down. These people don't think about, or they just don't care about the consequences to their shared children. They're so selfish. They just want the children all to themselves. They want all the child rearing. They don't have to share custody. And they don't think about what the loss of one's father. I mean, I lost my dad at 15 to a heart attack, not to a murder. You know, this was preventable. This didn't have to happen. It's the most callous, like sociopathic thing one can do. So there she is with her blonde hair, perfectly coiffed, and all her makeup on, trying to look, oh, I'm so attractive, and I didn't have anything to do with this. I give it 3 years. Let's see how she looks after she's been behind bars and in an orange jumpsuit for a year. We'll check back in then. Your thoughts on when and if they're bringing charges and whether she's likely to withstand them.
Oh, she's not going to do well behind bars. She's got a good legal team that has been part of her entourage so far, including one of President Trump's former lawyers. But her day of reckoning is coming. And I do believe that at the next grand jury in Tallahassee, that Georgia Kaplan, the prosecutor, will go before that grand jury and seek an indictment against Wendi for first-degree murder. I think it's pretty much inevitable at this point. And you're right. That defense lawyer was the one asking those questions, those hostile questions. What a family, huh? This divided family. And what's curious is that the defense really didn't have a strategy. For most of the cross-examination of Wendi, who testified under immunity, the defense lawyer was very supportive and friendly to her, and then turned on a switch, and then at the end went after her. So it's like, okay, are you friend? Are you foe? What's your strategy? What's your theory of the case? They were all discombobulated. I don't think it was well lawyered by Donna's defense lawyers, but they were dealing with the crap that they were given, right? That state had Donna dead to rights.
The escape tape going off on the airport is a tough card to be dealt as the defense attorney, as is the conversation after the so-called bump by law enforcement, meant to get you to pick up the phone and call your co-conspirator and start talking about the crime. Like, who doesn't know that? Who doesn't? This is why I watch Dateline, so that if I ever commit a crime, I will be well prepared when they try to lay a trap for me to catch me. I've said this before, but I love it. There was a very funny thing on Twitter years ago, and it was exactly right. It was saying, pro tip, if you commit a crime with somebody and that person calls you back at some point after the crime and wants to go back over every detail of the crime you committed, the only proper response is, no, that is not a thing. That's it. That is not a thing. What? That's it. That's the only thing you say. So she blew it. So what's your take, Jonna, on whether there is, because, when we looked at the trial of Donna and we looked at the evidence against Donna, even before it started, it looked like there was pretty good evidence against Donna. But I don't know if we can say the same against Wendi.
I've been wondering why Wendi is the last domino to fall in this case, and why wasn't she the first? I mean, look, this involved her children. This was her custody battle. This was her fight. She pushed these kids out of her birth canal. They were hers. How does she escape being the first one to be indicted in this case as opposed to being the last? I know that the evidence was pretty clear that Donna Adelson was a meddlesome, controlling mother-in-law and grandmother. We saw that even before this happened, she wanted to control who her daughter was dating. I get that. But in order for the mother to get behind this, don't you think Wendi has to be, Mom, he won't let me move, which there was also evidence of. And then Mama Bear swept in to try to make it happen. Wendi should have been first, not last. I do think she will be indicted. But Dave and I were talking off air. There's a tiny, tiny piece of me that thinks maybe they're going to let this go. I don't know. I've got a reserve on that one.
Well, what do we think? I like what you said about the license plate being in Donna's address book. That's evidence against both Donna and potentially Wendi, too. There's no way she didn't get it from Wendi. But what do we know, Dave, about the evidence they have against Wendi?
Well, first of all, just to address what Jonna said, I do think a reason why they delayed on Wendi is because they wanted her testimony in all the trials of the co-defendants. And if she had been charged, they wouldn't get her testimony. So I think that's one reason why they waited. But it would be a tougher case against Wendi, but they've got good evidence. Like I said, the license plate. Or how about this? Do you know that on the morning of the murder, she drove on the street where her ex-husband lives? Why? It wasn't anywhere near where she lives and nowhere near where she needed to go that day. And so she drove on the street, just like Brian Kohberger returned to the scene of the crime. That's what happens to see. She was gawking and she saw police activity outside of her ex-husband's home. Her ex-husband had custody of the kids that day. Do you think maybe she would call to find out what's going on with my kids? What's going on with my ex-husband? Nope. Didn't make a call, didn't seem to care. So that's just a little bit of the evidence. Plus, she had a boyfriend at the time, a guy named Jeff Lacasse. Jeff Lacasse testified multiple times that Wendi was trying to set him up for the crime, kept asking him, even on the day they broke up. She said, oh, by the way, when are you leaving to go on your trip out of town? When exactly are you leaving? This is after they broke up because the killers were going to come to town on the day to commit the crime. And she wanted to make sure, allegedly, that her boyfriend was there to be framed for it. And one more piece of evidence. Do you know that the killers came to Tallahassee twice? And the first time they came up, they rented a car that was identical to the car that her boyfriend at the time, Jeff Lacasse, owned. How did they know that information?
Do not date Wendi. Don't marry Wendi and don't get a divorce from Wendi. My God. How long would you guess, Dave, as a very recently former Palm Beach County attorney yourself, how long would you guess, you say don't, buy the green bananas, it might take before we see charges against her, if we're going to?
Well, I think Georgia will go to the grand jury when they meet. We don't know when the grand jury meets in Tallahassee, and it could be within 30 days, I think, of the verdict, which was yesterday, or it could be within 30 days of the sentencing, which is, I believe, October 14th. So I would say within 60 days, you will see Wendi charged with this crime.
Wow. So MK True Crime is going to have its hands full. A lot more to discuss on the Adelson case. Thankfully, they're all experts on it now, having watched the whole trial. And thanks to Florida's sunshine laws, able to see it and show it to you, too. All right, let's keep going. Lisa Cook has been in the news. She's this member of the Board of Governors that's at the Fed that oversees the Federal Reserve. And Bill Pulte of the Fair Housing Administration has found a bunch of examples, he says, of her committing what he calls mortgage fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, all sorts of criminal fraud, because she applied for houses by saying that they were going to be her primary residences when he says they weren't. Applied for one house saying it would be her secondary residence when in fact it was going to be a rental property, and so on. 2 of those at least have been referred now to grand juries, one in Ann Arbor, Michigan, one in Atlanta, Georgia. So they are using a grand jury, I think, to investigate and get more information and subpoena people and get to the bottom of this. Bill Pulte was on CNBC yesterday. I'm going to play you some of what he said. Here's SOT 48.
I've never seen people support crime like this. This is insane. Alleged crime, let's call it that. What she did was wrong. The fact that she hasn't come out and said, hey, these aren't my documents, or some rational explanation for this alleged crime, why is she not doing it? It doesn't make any sense.
She hasn't had her day in court yet. She is allegedly has done these things. It feels like she's being put in the court of public opinion. Should we let this play out in the court and have her have to defend it and either be found guilty or not guilty? Or should this already rise to the level of cause before she has a chance to defend herself against it?
Well, I would defer to the lawyers on that. All I can tell you is my job is to ensure the safety and soundness of the mortgage market. I feel very strongly that I'm doing my job. We're going to be making referrals. We make referrals almost every day. Lisa Cook happened to be one of them. Everybody happens to be interested in it. I would also say, too, that, yes, she will go through the court process. She did sue the president, and that's working its way through the court process. And to the extent that she is charged, which I do believe she will be indicted, that's my opinion, I believe she will be indicted, she will have her day in court, just like any other American.
All right, Jonna, do you agree that she's likely to be indicted?
I agree that these types of crimes are easy to prove. They are paperwork crimes, so not hard. So will she be indicted? There's a very good chance. I will also say that when you are a public servant, do not cry a river when you are put through the court of public opinion. You are a public servant. And I would like to know, where is the playbook? Because there must be one. There must be a secret playbook on how to get rich by being a public servant. There must be a playbook on how to commit mortgage fraud, because this isn't the first, right? There's a long, well, what's turning out to be a long list between Letitia James, Shifty Shift, now her. She's not going to be the last. She's not going to be the last. So what is going on here? Donald Trump's administration is pulling back the curtain, thankfully. So will we see indictments? I predict yes.
Am I the only one who, when I fill out these forms, am actually very careful and afraid of making a mistake? Like, I've had people on here say, like, well, a lot of people, I'm like, they do? I'm terrified when I fill out documents. That's probably because we're lawyers. So we're like, oh, God, we're always worried we're going to get thrown in jail because we spend our life in the legal system. But I think this is nuts. Like, this is not something everybody does. Most people are super careful to say what's real on these things, especially when you're applying for money in the form of a mortgage. Dave, what are your thoughts?
Well, it's interesting. I normally agree with my friend Jonna on the true crime stuff. On the legal political stuff, we have a little difference. And part of it is that as a former prosecutor, I'm all for going after people who commit crimes. My hesitancy here is let's just make sure that it's not selective prosecution, because there was a 2023 report that came out from the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia that found that 1/3 of single-family home investors misrepresent their occupancy status on their mortgage application. So this looks like
crazy.
It's crazy.
Doesn't make it right.
Oh, and it doesn't. But at the same time, you want to make sure the only people you're prosecuting aren't your political enemies, because if you want to avoid the politicization.
Does it soften you at all? I get that. But does it soften you at all that she's been elevated to a position overseeing the Federal Reserve? This is like our most prestigious economic body in the United States. It oversees mortgage rates, for God's sake.
Well, I would hope that wouldn't be the reason why the prosecutors are going after her, because Trump wants to shape the Fed in his own image and would love her to be out. And the fact that this guy, Martin, is apparently in charge of the investigation, Ed Martin, the guy who was found in a trench coat like he's Inspector Clouseau outside Letitia James's home, it doesn't give me a lot of confidence. So if you want to avoid the weaponization of government, don't weaponize the government. That's the only thing I'm saying here.
Well, that's a warning you should have given to your own side back when they're the ones who started this mess with Trump. Here is another interesting moment. First of all, Pulte got pressed on mortgage fraud. And he had a very good answer. Here it is, Top 49.
I don't think your primary role at what you're doing now is to seek out and find mortgage fraud.
That's completely false. That's completely false, Joe. That's completely false. My job, and I swore an oath before the Senate and otherwise, that I would root out mortgage fraud and that I would ensure that there's safety and soundness in the mortgage market.
The idea is that it might be one-sided.
Joe, I got to finish.
Okay. All right,
I got to finish. In 2008, the Housing and Economic Recovery Act was passed and gave enormous authority to this position in which I sit. It didn't happen by accident. There was a housing crash. A big part of the reason that there was a housing crash was because people were buying mortgages and engaging in mortgage fraud. So I'm not going to be intimidated from pursuing mortgage fraud just because somebody has the special title of being a Fed governor.
I was persuaded by that, Jonna, and I have to say, it really, you could see a market impact if you really do have 1/3 of homeowners lying about the purpose of their home in order to get more favorable mortgage rates and favorable down payment rates. Like, the whole reason that they want you to tell the truth is that they can accurately assess the risk of giving you this loan. So if we have all these loans out there that have been inaccurately assessed, then we are in danger. And we saw what happened to the country the last time the mortgage system imploded.
Yes, we did. So it's not like if somebody wants to point the finger at him and say, oh, you're just looking for political purposes. No, this actually is a crime, if you think about it, where everybody who hasn't committed it is a victim, right? Because it's going to affect your mortgage rate, my mortgage rate, no matter how many houses that you own. It's going to affect people who are going into foreclosure and bankruptcy and all this stuff. So we need to keep it even for the rest of us. It just adds insult to injury when the person who's basically partly responsible for creating the rates, et cetera, is the one, with her thumb on the scale, so to speak.
What do you think should happen to her, Dave? I mean, I have a second home, and you know what I filled out when we got our mortgage for our second home? Second home, because I'm not a liar or a fraudster or a criminal. Why should she get this break on her second and third home that I didn't get, and nobody else who's telling the truth when they get their second home, if they should be so fortunate, got? Why? So what should happen to her?
If she broke the law, I'm all in favor of holding people accountable who are breaking the law. Apparently, there were very few of these cases brought in 2024. I think 38 federal charges brought against these types.
She's a serial mortgage fraudster, according to Bill Pulte and possibly the DOJ. She's serial.
Well, yes, but you even saw Joe Kernan, who is a very tight ally with Trump and MAGA on CNBC. He was pressing that guy. And the reason why is that there is a skepticism amongst a lot of us that says, okay, you're going after Lisa Cook, you're going after Adam Schiff, you're going after Letitia James. If this is as common as you think it is, then where are the other cases? Or are you just going after Trump's
There might be.
That's the issue.
I'll bet you there that he will bring some. I mean, there's rumors about Ken Paxton down in Texas. I don't know. Don't want to wrongly impugn him because I haven't heard that yet officially. But I think Pulte's a straight shooter. I actually believe you will see Republicans come under that same microscope. But listen, you can't have somebody in this sort of economic position of authority having committed multiple instances of mortgage fraud. Serial. And she's not denying them. Even her lawyer's alleged denial is she didn't commit fraud. He said on Tuesday in a court filing, she did not ever commit mortgage fraud. That is not the same, Jonna, as saying she did not say primary residence for two residences at the same time and misclassify a secondary residence, which was in fact a rental property. It's not a denial. It's a legal conclusion. It's not a factual denial.
Right. Exactly. And he should probably be more careful and not say anything, because right now her primary concern is not about that. Her primary concern is not losing her job that Donald Trump wants to fire her for. So he should stand down until a later date, until the grand jury investigation, I guess, is concluded. But that's not, you're right, that's not an actual denial because she doesn't want to commit fraud again.
Yeah, that is exactly right. And listen, to me, it looks clear. She did it. She looks quite guilty to me. And if I were Lisa Cook, I'd be cutting my losses. I'd be very much not worried about my role at the Fed and very much worried about how I look in the color orange. That's the problem she's looking at. Do I overstate the case, actually, Dave? What would be the penalties if she were found guilty of all this fraud?
You could get some prison time, although I think it's relatively minor. I think the average sentence, I shouldn't say too minor, the average sentence is around 18 months at the federal level. So that's not insignificant. But she will fight back in court, and I'll bet you she will use selective prosecution as her defense. And that's why the administration needs to be careful. You don't want it to look like selective prosecution because that is the albatross.
Is that an actual defense, or is that a jury nullification tool?
Both. I think you can argue that with the judge initially, and then
the judge,
you can argue it, and then you can argue it in trial if the judge allows it, and that could be the jury nullification tool, which we've seen, by the way, in Washington, D.C. It's like this passive-aggressive way that the D.C. grand jurors have been rejecting Jeanine Pirro's attempts to get all these federal indictments. This is an area that doesn't like Trump too much and is pushing back in their own way.
On that, we did a report on that on AM Update this morning on these grand jurors not indicting people who've committed crime just as like an FU to Trump. Enjoy your crime-ridden city. Great. Take care. I mean, the rest of us are living in towns where we are hoping our law enforcement are more like Dave Aronberg and actually will bring cases that are justifiably brought. When you see a crime right in front of you, you bring it and the grand jury should indict it. Like, it's not up to them. But hey, enjoy your crime-ridden city. Great. You reap what you sow, D.C. residents. Stand by. Quick break. We'll come back and talk about Cardi B. This woman is amazing. I find her highly entertaining. We talk a lot about personal freedom on this show. Well, part of that is owning your privacy. And let me tell you, if you have ever Googled your name and found your home address, phone number, or even your income floating around, it's not a coincidence. That data is bought and sold by data brokers without your consent. This is why I want to tell you about Incogni, a service that fights back on your behalf. Incogni contacts those shady sites and gets your personal data removed automatically. No forms, no emails. They handle the back and forth with these brokers, and they just update you through their simple dashboard. It can really be a relief. If you care about your privacy and you want fewer spam calls, junk emails, and less risk of identity theft, consider this step. And right now you can get 60% off an annual plan at incogni.com/Megyn. Use code Megyn at checkout to get that 60% off. incogni.com/Megyn and code Megyn when you check out. Take back control of your data with Incogni. If you are stressed about back taxes, maybe you missed that April deadline or your books are a mess, don't wait. The IRS is cracking down. Penalties add up fast. 5% per month, up to 25% just for not filing. But there is help. Tax Network USA can take the burden off your shoulders and stop the spiral before it gets worse. They have helped thousands of Americans, whether you're an employee, a small business owner, or haven't filed in years. Messy books? It's not a problem. They've seen it all. Tax Network USA has direct access to powerful IRS programs and expert negotiators on your side. You'll get a free consultation, and if you qualify, they may even be able to reduce or eliminate what you owe. More importantly, they will help protect you from wage garnishments or bank levies. So don't wait for the next IRS letter. Call 800-958-1000 or visit tnusa.com/Megyn to speak to a real expert at Tax Network USA. Take the pressure off. Let Tax Network USA handle your tax issues. Okay, guys, so Cardi B, the talented rapper, she's a very colorful character. I didn't know this until today. Her real name is Belcalis Marlenis Almanzar. She has been accused of assault and battery, intentional infliction of emotional distress, negligent, and false imprisonment in a lawsuit in Los Angeles Superior Court by a woman named Imani Ellis. It happened in 2018. And Imani claims that Cardi B assaulted her, that there was a physical altercation in which she got assaulted. Cardi B claims Cardi B was going, I think, to see her doctor, was going into this medical office building, and she sees Imani there with her phone videotaping Cardi B and like documenting it. And this is a private, like she's going for a private appointment, and says like, don't videotape me. Like, what are you doing? And it was no more than a verbal altercation, and that this whole thing was a money grab. Here is, let's start with the alleged victim, the plaintiff, Imani Ellis, and her testimony about what allegedly happened in SOT 57.
After she heard me say her name, she turned back around, and the first thing out of her mouth was, excuse my language, was, why the are you telling people that you seen me? At this time, I tried to calm her down and assure her that I didn't tell anyone that I seen her, and she was extremely upset.
What did she tell you after that?
Then, excuse my language again, but she said, yes, you did, and then she put her finger in my face. She used a lot of words, and again, excuse my language, but she was like, bitch, that's why I'm gonna beat your I'm gonna get you fired.
F you.
That's why you do security. That's why you do security. She was sticking her tongue out. She was flailing her arms up and down. She was jumping up and down. Body shaming me. I mean.
Okay, because Imani Ellis was a security guard in this building where Cardi B was going for an OB appointment. She was relatively new in her pregnancy and she didn't want people knowing she was pregnant, hence her understandable upset at being filmed when she's going to see her OB. And this security guard, of all people, to be filming her, she was justifiably angry. Here's Cardi B's version of it, 56.
Now we're like chest to chest practically. So I keep telling her, like, you need to back up. And I'm thinking to myself, like, this girl is big. She's big, she got big black boots on. And I'm like, damn, we're arguing. And I keep telling her to back up, but she's not backing up. And we arguing, cursing at each other. I did call her the B word. I did call her a bitch. Like, bitch, get out of my face. I did say, bitch, get the fuck out of my face. You're in my face. You're screaming in my face. We were like literally we were literally screaming at each other. And she kept telling me, like, you're going to leave my building. I'm not leaving.
I love we go from, I said the B word, get the fuck out of my face. So the jury has come back and said she is not liable for this. Dave, Cardi B is vindicated and Imani gets nothing. Did they reach the right conclusion?
Yes, this was a 2-day trial and the jury took less than an hour to come back with its verdict. That tells you something. This was a weak case. And the plaintiff is saying that she was scratched on the cheek and that caused her grave emotional damage and she had to get surgery. And the jury didn't believe it, especially because she was suing for $24 million. And that came in through Cardi B's testimony. She said, I'm being sued for $24 million. Yeah, and the juror's like, are you kidding me? Scratch me on the cheek and give me $24 million. I'll take that trade.
It's ridiculous. Wait, we have that? What is that? Sat? Oh, yeah. Well, actually, you said I have other ones that I want to play before. I got to choose my favorites here. Here's Cardi B explaining that Imani Ellis is bigger than she is, 58.
You said she's bigger than you? Is that correct?
Absolutely.
How do you know that?
I mean,
points at her.
I'm looking. I don't agree with that. What is your basis? Are you saying she's physically bigger? She's taller?
I mean, you have her medical records, right?
I don't have anything. I'm asking you the question.
I mean, I was 130 pounds at that time.
So she's overweight, right? In your opinion?
Objection, relative.
She's a little.
You don't need to answer me.
Okay. Did you call her fat?
No, I was calling her a bitch.
She's a little, and then she goes on to explain what she thinks of Imani's figure in SOT 59.
We was face to face, so she's practically like my height, or just a much taller, but she was practically like my height. But she is like
what? Say it.
Security heavy.
What does security heavy mean? Just tell us. There's no harm. What does that mean?
Like she just looks a little like she could protect the building type big. You know what I'm saying? She just looked more developed than me.
Jonna, I'm sorry, but that's very charming. She's funny.
She is hilarious and she is so authentic. And if I weren't a Cardi B fan before, I am a Cardi B fan now. And let me just say, the facts of this case never supported a successful civil suit. The facts of this case support an Instagram post. And here's who I am mad at. I'm not even mad at the plaintiff. I'm mad at the plaintiff's lawyer because he's one of these people, he must be. These lawyers who seek out people with money and celebrities, they're usually one and the same, who they think that there is a legal slush fund so you can bring a frivolous lawsuit and these celebs are going to write a check to make it go away. We need fewer of those attorneys in our lives because that's not fair. And kudos to Cardi B for standing up and saying basically, I'm not taking any shit. And that's what this lawsuit is about. And she didn't take any shit. So good
It's
for
so
her.
true.
And by the way,
9 out of 10 celebrities would have settled this. Yeah, they would have settled this just so that they didn't have to go through the inconvenience and the public humiliation of testifying and so on. So good for her for standing up. She knew that this woman had put her in an uncomfortable situation, not the other way around. Here she is on the lesson learned in SOT 64.
I'm not even playing around. I will, even if I'm in my deathbed, I swear to God, I will say it in my deathbed. I did not touch that woman. I did not touch that girl. I didn't lay my hands on that girl. And with that being said, this time around, I'm going to be nice. The next person to try to do a frivolous lawsuit against me, I'm going to countersue.
I applaud that, Dave. That's really what will deter people, because when they get this plaintiff's attorney who has dollar signs in his eyes, there's almost no downside to somebody like this bringing a massive lawsuit against a celebrity like her.
That's right. The cult of personality, of fame out there. If you can be famous just by suing a famous person, and then it can help your law practice. So that's an advantage. But we're starting to see celebrities fight back. Megyn, it wasn't just Cardi B. Remember, Gwyneth Paltrow, she successfully fought back against that guy who was suing her, even though he was the one allegedly who plowed into her on the ski slope. So,
True.
Right? So I
That was
think
a
you're
fun
starting
case.
to see, yeah. Right. And in the past, perhaps, the celebrities didn't want the negative publicity, but I think they're starting to get good publicity by standing up to people who see them as a windfall, as a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
I feel like they can all thank Johnny Depp for giving them the example of how not to just roll over. Like there actually might be a greater value in standing up and fighting. Okay, last but not least, I want to get to this. Not long ago, we had on the show Kash Patel's girlfriend. She came on the show because she wanted to set the record straight. Trying to find my notes here on exactly the status of the lawsuit. People were calling her a Mossad agent and accusing her of being part of a honeypot operation, like where you're a spy and you cozy up to somebody just to compromise them. And she came on the Megyn Kelly show to set the record straight and say, this isn't true. I'm not that person. Here she is, SOT 55. This is from our July 30th episode. For the record, I should ask you, are you a spy for any government?
Definitely not. That is a firm no on that front.
Okay, her name is Alexis Wilkins, and now she's sued one of the podcasters who said this about her, a guy named Kyle Seraphin, for defamation, because he said explicitly, the following. Here it is in SOT 53.
He's had his own little honeypot issue that's been going on of late, so we're just going to acknowledge it real publicly. He's got a girlfriend that's half his age, who apparently is both a country music singer, a political commentator on Rumble, a friend now of John Rich through Bongino, who also owns a big chunk of Rumble, and she's also a former Mossad agent in what is like the equivalent of their NSA. But I'm sure that's totally because she's really looking for a cross-eyed, kind of thickish built, super cool bro who's almost 50 years old, who's Indian in America. It has nothing to do with the fact that we're really close to the Trump administration. Anyway, I'm sure that that's totally just love. That's what real love looks like.
He's got a problem because he stated it as though it were a fact. He did not say, in my opinion, or she's probably. He stated it like it's a fact and suggesting that she's betraying her country by sleeping with the FBI director so she can give dirt back to the Mossad in Israel, a place she's never been. She has absolutely no connection with them whatsoever. There's no question that's defamatory, Dave, but is it actionable? Will the civil suit against him go anywhere?
Yeah, I think so, Megyn. And she is arguably a public figure, so she has a higher burden. You got to show actual malice that he knew better. And she's saying they had met before. So he knew that she was not a Mossad agent. And you can tell by his language there, there's some animosity there. He's Indian. Why would you want to date this guy? It's pretty ugly. And for me, I got to tell you, Megyn, I'm tired of the far right and far left podcasters. This guy is a Republican podcaster who's supposedly a recovering FBI agent. I'm tired of them using Israel as the bad guy and everything, Mossad Israel as the enemy. So I'm glad he's getting sued. And by the way, on that subject, thank you for standing up against Chris Martin and his devaluing of Israeli every citizen's lives by
ridiculous.
saying, "You are human. I will grant you your humanity." Like, please.
Oh, thanks. Thanks so much for deigning to do that. He denies that he doesn't remember meeting her ever before. And even if he did meet her, I don't know. Like, their point is you met at a time when she was dating Kash Patel, pre-FBI director. So how could you credibly say this is a honeypot operation? Because he was not in that role yet, Jonna. But he denies remembering the meeting. Actual malice is a very high bar, though.
It is. But he's a jerk, number one. Number two, I would argue that maybe she's not a public figure, which wouldn't require actual malice. So she did plead it in her pleading. And here's what I love about her. He makes the statement on August 22nd. She files her lawsuit on August 27th. There's a weekend in there. They wasted no time. Good for her and her team.
It's hard. Like, if I were him, I would apologize. I would retract it, and I would try to save myself on this. Maybe he could have her on, and they could have a real heart-to-heart. That would be a better place for this to land. It's hard. Loose talk on a podcast, which is freewheeling, can happen. If that's what happened there, he should fix it. He should fix it with an apology. And I bet she'd make it go away. That's not exactly what he's done. He's said it's frivolous. He called Kash Patel dumb for letting his girlfriend file it. So it doesn't sound like it's going in that direction. We'll continue to follow it, especially on MK True Crime. Thank you, panel. See you, Dave. See you, Jonna.
Thanks, Megyn.
Go ahead and subscribe right now, podcast and YouTube. Check it out.